as well, like trade deadline acquisitions, like we brought it up at the beginning of the show, like the Jays traded for their fans essentially.
Yeah.
Like what more can you ask for? Like they hadn't been playing in front of their hometown fans for over 650 days. Like they traded for their fans back. I think that's the biggest trade deadline acquisition any team could have made. Like they have fans
Yeah.
now. Like imagine that. Like you're an
Yeah.
organization, no fans. They're all the
Yeah.
other teams have fans. You just traded for fans. Like
Yeah.
that's the best. That's the best thing. Toronto Blue Jays 9-2 on their very first homestand, which is very nice. Very good start coming back home to Toronto. So yeah, we're going to talk everything Toronto Blue Jays today. Tyler Moore is back. Tyler, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great as usual. How are you?
Doing good. Can't complain. It's going to be nice to talk some baseball because I don't remember the last time I really did a full-on baseball podcast. We're going to stay away from hockey, going to stay away from football, no Marvel talk, just all baseball. Got to talk to Jays. So yeah, welcome back to Unlimited. It's been a while. Welcome back. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. And yeah, Blue Jays fans, get ready because we are talking everything Toronto Blue Jays. What a homestand it was to kick off their return to Toronto. Like I said, 9-2 on the homestand, capped off by a unbelievable game against Boston in that fourth game of the series. The home run by George Springer just wrapped it all up. 3-run shot. That's going to be one to remember if this team makes the playoffs. But even if they don't, that's just a memorable moment for Springer, and that's one of like the best. I don't know if it's one of the best regular season moments like ever for the Jays, but it seems like it's a standout moment, especially if you look at this season. Like you're going to remember that moment and how hyped, the dugout was and that home run. So clutch from Springer. I was actually at Wonderland that day. We were watching it in line for a ride. I was just like, it was like the 8th inning, 2 guys on. It was a long wait for the lines. So I was just like, I'll try and stream it with the Wonderland Wi-Fi. and like we could hardly see the pictures, like very pixelated, but we just see the camera angle just kind of like go up with the ball as soon as it left Springer's bat. And we're just like, oh, that's gone. And then I get like a notification from Twitter. It's Elliot Friedman saying Springer dinger. And it's like, oh no, he hit it out. It's gone. But yeah, Tyler, how good is it that the Jays are back in Toronto? And what do you think that does to boost this team?
Yeah, I think it's great for everybody. It's great for the fans. It's great for the players. Like you think about all the new players we have this year, like big important players, Semien and Springer, and Berrios was just added, but like those 3 guys, they don't know what it's like to play in Toronto in front of fans. So they're getting to experience that for the first time, and it seems like they're feeding off that energy, especially Springer, like you said, with that home run and winning AL Player of the Week in back-to-back weeks is something that's pretty tough to do, and he's been able to do it. So yeah, I think it's a huge boost for the organization. It's crazy to think like this team. I think there hasn't been this much hype around the team since probably 2015, 2016, back in those days. It's crazy to think they're not even in a playoff spot right now with all the hype surrounding them.
Yeah.
But yeah, things seem to be falling into place right now. Springer's heating up again. The heat of the heart of the lineup is still playing well. Defense is looking pretty good. Pitching is better than it's been in the last few years for sure.
Yep.
Coming home to Toronto, so things seem to be lining up here. Like you said, 9-2 in the first homestand is really good, and they just have to keep that momentum up, because if they want to make the playoffs at this point, they have to go on a bit of a run here, and 9-2 is a good start. But they'll have to keep that pace up if they have a shot, if they want to have a shot at making it.
They're going to have to go on a 2015 kind of run where they just win like 11 out of their 12 or like crazy runs like that. Yeah. And they're onto that. They're kind of onto that. But they got to stay consistent with it now. And they've shown their dominance at home. They got to take it on the road now, because that's what the 2015 team did. They went into New York and they would sweep a series. They would go to Boston and win big. But I'm glad you brought up 2015, because we are going to compare this team to 2015 a little bit later on in the show. In 2015, it didn't work out though, so this is a new team, 2021 vibes. Let's see if they can actually do the thing with this core. Maybe not this year, but we'll talk about all of our predictions a bit later on. But yeah, great start, obviously. In 2015, we were only, I think, was it one game above 500 at the trade deadline? If I remember correctly, I think it was something like that. And I think we were like 4 or 5 games up this year. And now we're 10 games up. We're actually at the moment 9 games because we lost the first game, the doubleheader today. But we're on track. We're 60-51 with 51 games left in our season, 3 games back of the wild card spot, 7 games back of the division, which isn't that far away. Like if Tampa Bay slows down a little bit, which I seriously think that they will, because I'm looking at some of the stats from their players. Their lineup isn't, they don't have that star player anymore, really. They have like pieces like Lau and Meadows that can, hit over 20 home runs. They're at over 20 home runs right now, but I don't know if they can keep that up the entire way. Also, their pitching hasn't been amazing, especially with Glass now being out.
Yeah, I was thinking that Glasnow was a huge injury for them. With him out, he was kind of their ace. Their rotation besides that is kind of piecemeal.
I know.
Yeah, but
they find ways, though.
That's the thing about the Rays. They just managed to find a way, always on a low budget, but still can be competitive. But yeah, it's interesting you say like they're 9 games above 500 at this point, but they find themselves 4th in their division.
Yeah.
Which just they always say AL East is like probably the toughest division in baseball, and this year it's showing that for sure. Like with 9 games above 500 as your record, you should be kind of comfortably sitting in at least a wild card spot. But Jays find themselves 4th in their division, and then on the outside looking in of the wild card race, only a couple games back. But I mean, 9-10 games above 500, you expect to be in a way better position at this point in the season.
Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier on. Like you texted me like, what is wrong with this team? Like, why aren't they higher up in the standings? Because their offense is great. Their pitching is, better than average, at least their starting pitching, and their bullpen isn't terrible. So why are they 4th in the division?
Yeah.
So many losses earlier in the year came off of blown leads late in games that just went downhill. And that's really what's costing them right now. Because those losses are just adding up. And it doesn't matter if it's game 1 of the season or game 162 of the season. Each game is important. And I always think back to, I think it was 2016. There was a blown call, I think, against Jose Bautista in like the second game of the year against the Rays. I don't know if you remember this. It was their opening series. I think he was like thrown out at second base, but he should have been safe there. And the Blue Jays ended up losing the game. And that game, I guess it didn't really cost them first place in the division, but they could have gone up in the standings. It was pretty close between them and the Red Sox that year. And then the Blue Jays got the wild card against Baltimore. But every game is important. That's what I'm trying to get at here. And it's tough, those early losses at the beginning of the season, but they got to go on a run. They got to make up for it. Let's talk about today's game a little bit. It didn't go as planned. Coming off a big homestand, you want to keep that thing rolling. But Steven Matz was the guy today. He didn't do that good. His pitch count was really high. I think he was at like 92 pitches in like the 4th inning, which was, you can't have that. You can't do that as well. He was walking a lot of batters. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. made a pretty costly error. I don't know if you saw this play. It was a pop-up to first base. It was 2-1 at this point of the game. A very high fly ball to first base, sun's in his eyes, and he just drops it. He just drops the ball, not even close to it, really. I guess you can blame the sun. Joe Siddle was saying it was just the sun's fault. Like, Vladdy can't really do much about it, but it cost them the game. That made it 4-1, and then they're up by 3, and the Jays just never were able to come back from that. So can't have that. Valera made a silly mistake later on in the game as well, which led to a 2-run inning for the Angels as well. Montoyo brought in Dolis to try and prevent that. Very, very, very bad decision bringing in Rafael Dolis. And he's been good as of late. He's had 9 straight appearances with 0 runs given up. but today was not his day. But I want to hear what your thoughts are on Corey Dickerson, because he's the guy that's been given a pretty good opportunity in this Blue Jays lineup. And not many people knew about him. I guess when they acquired him, it was kind of a trade that went that was overshadowed by the Berrios trade and even the Soria trade, I guess, too. But what are your thoughts on Dickerson, and what do you think his impact can be on this team moving forward?
Well, Dickerson's he's been around for a while. He's bounced around a bit. He was on the Rays and the Pirates and
Yeah.
a couple other
Marlins? Yeah.
places.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Marlins is where he came from. But he's always been like a pretty solid hitter. Like he can hit kind of in the mid to upper twos. He has some power. Um, and yeah, I think he's just one of those guys that you bring in for depth. And the Jays, you look at their lineup and you see their infield is quite possibly the best in the league, with 3 all-stars in the
Yeah.
infield. It's pretty unprecedented to have 3 all-stars in your infield. So the outfield is the past couple seasons, the outfield has been kind of the position of weakness for the Jays. But this year, even without Dickerson, you look at the outfield, and with Springer, Grichuk, Hernandez, and Gurriel out there,
Yeah.
that's a very solid 4. But you add Dickerson, who's just a guy. I think he's a left-handed bat, which is always a bonus to have.
We don't have many lefties. Like if you look at our lineup, it's all right-handed.
Exactly. So a left-handed bat, a guy who can play and give important guys rest days. I think he can play both corner outfield positions. So he
Yep.
can give guys rest days when they need them, and he's still dependable. He's not a guy you're bringing in just for speed or just for defense. He can kind of do a little bit of it all. I guess not so much with the speed, but his defense is average, and his batting is definitely above average.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think he's just a great piece to bring into a team and kind of really solidify the one position where fans might have been feeling a little bit iffy. And even just with 4 guys, you can never have enough outfield depth. And you
Right.
look at the organization beyond those 4 guys, and there's not really anybody. Like if 1 or 2 of them got injured, you don't really see many options. I mean, Biggio could play out there, but then you kind of have a hole on the infield, and
Yeah.
it's just nice to have a little bit of insurance back there, even if he doesn't get an incredible number of at bats this year. It's just a nice insurance policy, and you could do a lot worse than Dickerson as an insurance policy.
You're right. Depth is key, especially when you lose Jonathan Davis for nothing to the Yankees on
Yeah.
waivers. And he was a good guy that can come off the bench for his speed, like you were talking about, or just defensively. And now you don't have that anymore, so Dickerson has to kind of fill that role. But Montoyo's been playing him a lot. I think he played the second game against Cleveland was his first game as a Jay, and I don't really know if he's had too many days off since then. He's been giving a really good look, either in left field or DH. And I think like in this first game against the Angels too, he got the start in left field, played very good defensively in left. He made 2 like really good throws in this game. I don't think they led to outs, but like he made some really good throws that were pretty close, like to getting outfield assists. So he's got a good arm there. But the power from Dickerson, I think it's great to have that lefty power bat, even if he's not starting, coming up in a pinch hit situation late in a game.
Exactly.
I remember he torched the Jays. Like when he played with Tampa, he would always hit homers against us. And like the opening day series, like he was one of those guys. Him and like Brandon Lau were the guys to do it, and like G-Man Choi. So he was. I think he had a triple today. That's what they counted it as, but it should have been an error. Like it was a long fly ball to left field, and it just went off of Upton's glove, or like he caught it, but then it popped out, and then Dickerson ran to third. So I don't know what they scored it as, but another clutch hit, nonetheless. So he's been really good. I've liked him so far, and I think they got to keep rolling with him, but they got options. Like in this game, it was a righty on the mound. So Dickerson's a lefty bat. You bring him in. Maybe Gurriel gets the start in the second game now, because it's a lefty pitcher on the mound. You don't want to have that lefty matchup with Dickerson in the lineup. So Montoyo's got some options there. It's going to be an interesting game tonight. You got Ross Stripling on the mound. He had a very good outing his last time around. If you were picking your Toronto Blue Jays rotation, say it's a 5-man rotation, who gets that 5th spot in the rotation? Is it Steven Matz or is it Ross Stripling? Lefty, righty, 2 guys that are a bit older, journeyman a little bit as well. What's the call? Tyler Moore on the call. What is it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough call. I would say Matt's obviously came out of the gate super strong for the season and kind of looked like he was going to be a steal, a great move by the Jays, and he fell off a little bit with his next few starts and then had a couple good ones, couple bad ones mixed in.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I think Matz has higher upside. He's still like he's younger. I think he has a bit of a more powerful arm than Stripling.
Yeah.
But out of the 5th spot in the rotation, I don't know if that's what you're really looking for. I think out of the 5th spot, you just want somebody dependable. You know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a quality start X percentage of the amount of time. And I feel like Stripling has shown that he's been pretty consistent this year. He hasn't been amazing, but he's had kind of an ERA around 4.25 all year. And I think that's all you can ask for from your 5th starter, just somebody to give you consistent starts and not just give your team a chance to win. And right. if you can get your 5th starter to give you 8 wins in a season, that's great. You're not looking for them to come in and shut the door every time they start. So yeah, I think I would lean towards Stripling. I think he's just been a little bit more consistent. He hasn't had those super highs and super lows. He's been kind of pretty steady all year. So yeah, if I were Montoyo, I would go with the more consistent, dependable guy for the 5th spot, rather than the riskier move.
I think I would go with that too. And this is like a legit question too, because for the past week almost, or maybe more than a week, the Jays have been going with the 6-man rotation. So this is something that Montoyo is going to be considering. Who does he take out? Does he take out Matz and move Matz to the bullpen? That lefty arm in the bullpen is always nice. Or do you go with Stripling, who's had prior experience in the bullpen with the Dodgers? Yeah. So it's going to be a tough one. But at the end of the day, that rotation might even get slimmed down to 4. Like if they are in serious contention for a wild card spot heading into September, how many starts do you want to give Steven Matz or Ross Stripling? Do you just run the 4 on 1 day less of rest, or just hope for an off day in there and try and get them as much rest as possible? Because especially like in the playoffs, even like you don't need 4 starters, even you need 3. Which is what they did with Berrios, and we'll get to him in a second. But I think you're right. I think you keep Stripling in the rotation for right now. I feel like having Matz as that lefty in the bullpen will be very key, and I think he can turn into a weapon, especially if you're bringing in Nate Pearson and Julian Merriweather coming back from injury, 2 right-handed pitchers. You don't want to add another righty in Stripling. You want to balance it out and bringing Matz. And I don't think Matz has done much bullpen, so it's going to be interesting. But he could turn into a very good weapon if they use him correctly. And Pete Walker's, a great pitching coach, so I'm sure he can turn him into a weapon there. It's exciting. The Jays have some options. But let's talk about Berrios. If we're on the topic of pitching, that was their big pitching addition at the trade deadline, other than Joakim Soria. No, Berrios, number 1. That was an insane trade. It happened on the last day of the deadline. We gave up a lot to get him in the first place. And I didn't really see this coming. I didn't even know if the Jays were going to make a trade at all. Like, I was just expecting, maybe you add another bullpen piece or a closer, a Craig Kimbrell, someone like that. But no, they get Berrios, who has another year left on his contract as well. And, you're hoping that he will extend that contract as well moving forward. A guy who's, middle of the rotation. What did you think of this trade? And I think your initial reaction was that's kind of a lot, right? Because we were texting. I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think initially when the news came out, they made it seem like it was Martin, Woods, Richardson plus.
yeah,
And when I heard those two names and thought there was even more, I was like, whoa, that does seem like quite a bit. But learning that it was just those two guys, I think Martin's obviously a good, like a great looking prospect. I think he was our number 2 prospect um,
someone like that. Yeah,
this
yeah,
season. So yeah, he's obviously a great prospect. But you look at the position he's in; he's an infielder, and you look at our infield right now, and I don't know. I feel pretty good about our infield. And we have Jordan Groshans, who's still down there, who's looking like a top quality prospect as well.
let's hope.
Um,
According to
as
Ethan, he's not MLB ready yet, but I don't know if I trust him
yeah,
yet.
well, yeah, I guess we'll have to see. But I mean, you just look at the guys in the pipe, and there's definitely a couple options down there in
Yeah,
terms of infielders. So that trading Martin was kind of trading from a position of strength. Um, Woods Richardson, I think, hurts a little more just because he was still so young. I think he's only like 21 still,
yeah, he's
something like
very
that.
young. Yeah,
He came in the Stroman deal, and he was kind of looking like the centerpiece of that deal at this point. K
yeah,
has kind of tapered off. I don't know if he's going to be an everyday MLBer at any point in his career. And Woods Richardson was playing for the U.S. at the Olympics, and I'm not sure how well he did. I never looked at his stats there, but yeah, that one definitely hurts a little bit more. But I mean, again, you look at our rotation, and we got Ryu for another 2 years. We have Manoa, who's been showing he's ready to play in the
yeah, he's
MLB.
great. Yeah,
He's been great. You have Pearson, who, if he can hopefully sort out his injury problems, he's another top guy. And then you look at what you get back in Berrios, who's a guy. If we don't make the playoffs this year, we have him for another season, which
yep,
is definitely a bonus. And I think that's why you have to pay a little bit more, obviously, because you're getting him more than just a rental.
for sure.
And like I think our main thing was if we can extend Berrios, then this trade is looking really good for us because Berrios basically is Woods Richardson 5 years from now. I think Woods Richardson kind of projects as like a number 2, 3 starter in the MLB. So you just
Yeah,
trade for a guy who's a few years older and
exactly.
in that role already.
And the key word there is
Um,
projects. Like it's just a
exactly,
prospect. We don't know if
exactly.
he's going to
Yeah,
turn into a guy like
yeah,
Berrios.
exactly. He's still so young. So like, I mean, hopefully he has a great career. But I mean, injuries happen, and some guys just can't make the jump to the big leagues. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a question mark, and pitchers are even more so question marks than position players in baseball. So
I mean, I
in
think we're
trading,
fine. trading away
yeah,
pitchers. Kyle Drabeck. That that didn't work out. When we traded Daniel Norris for David Price. Where is he now? I think he's in the
yeah,
minors somewhere. Like, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. No, we do have a decent track record of not. But then again, you look at Syndergaard, we traded him,
That's
and
true. Right? We don't
but
talk about it.
I
Isn't
think there
he
was one
injured
or
though,
two
or is
others.
he? Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's a good move. I think I'll feel a lot better if they're able to get him extended. Feel a lot better about the move. But even just a season and a half at a Barrios to really give us a shot and kind of a young arm is, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And like like I see in the notes here, I mean, I know his first start was really good, but yeah, through 2 starts, 1 earned run in 13 innings, like you can't ask for much of a better start than that. And
No.
his arrival kind of was timed perfectly with the Jays moving back to Toronto, so I'm sure he's starting to feel the atmosphere of the Rogers Center and maybe getting hyped up a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't
hopefully
think
if we do
it's.
make the playoffs, he'll be better than Price.
Hopefully, he gets us a playoff win. Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
hope. Yeah. I guess if we make it to the division series, he'll get a shot. Because, well, I don't know. Does he pitch the wild card? I don't know. Let's hope they make the wild card in the first place. But I think at first they were kind of like the way that Sportsnet was covering the trade and the way that like Shulman and Martinez and Tabler were talking about him, it seemed like they were overselling him a little bit because I think, right after the trade happens and you see the return that they gave up and you're kind of thinking, we could have gotten like a really good pitcher, like an ace. We could have gotten a clear ace for this return, right? We probably could have. But that extra year is very important too, I think, because we could have maybe gotten Scherzer
Yeah.
for that return as well. But to have Berrios under control with the hopes of extending him, a younger guy as well, that's why we had to give up such a high return. And I still think like Berrios, even though he's had, 13 innings and only one run given up so far, he still has a lot to prove, I think. I don't think you can't just base it off of two starts. He has to keep that up consistently. And he probably won't keep up that good of a performances
Yeah.
consistently. And he could fall off. You never know. But I don't think it's going to be a problem re-signing him if he keeps this up, and he knows the clubhouse now, how much fun they have in there. He speaks Spanish, thank God, with all the Dominican players in that dugout in that clubhouse. He's going to fit in perfectly with that. And I don't think this isn't like a Kawhi situation. Like, will he stay? Like,
Yeah.
it's Berrios. He's like a middle of the rotation guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to prove that much to him to get him to extend here,
Yeah.
Like, if he
Yeah.
plays
Yeah.
well, like, he should stay.
I think
Yeah.
realistically, you look at kind of the contract Ryu signed. I mean, I think Ryu's a little bit better, more proven, but he is older. So I think you weigh those things and you look at it, and I think Barrios should get kind of around that same money, kind of 18-ish million a year at 4 or 5 years. I think
Yeah.
would be a fair contract for him, and I think. Yeah, I think that'd be a good signing for the Jays. Like he's still mid 20s, just entering his prime right now. Um, so yeah, if they can re-sign him to a few more years after the end of next season, I think we'll look back on it and think it's a great trade.
Yeah.
Until Woods Richardson becomes like Cy Young caliber, then we might not. But I hope he has a great career. But let's hope he's not that good. Let's hope he doesn't become Cy Young caliber.
It's tough to say at this point. He's still so young, like you
Yeah,
said. He might. I don't know. I don't know. Like Atkins is like, yeah, I wish them all the best. I hope Martin and Wood Richardson are good. But in the back of his head, he's like, please, like, be
yeah. Just
bust
don't be
so
that
we win this
good.
trade.
Yeah,
Um, you mentioned Nate Pearson earlier. Um, I'm losing hope on this guy a little bit. I don't know if he is going to be that top of the rotation type of guy that we thought he was going to be probably about a year ago. Like we were still thinking that. But now I look at him more as maybe the closer of the future. Like big arm guy who can come in for an inning a game and just seal the games. Seal the games. Cuz it's the injuries. The injuries are the ones that concern me. I don't know if he has it in him to go out there every 5 days and pitch 6 innings. The way that he's trending in terms of his health just scares me. And I don't know if he can stay healthy. That's the only
yeah.
thing. And
Kind of
I'm
reminds me of
honestly
Aaron Sanchez.
exactly. But I you're right. I think Pearson might even be worse than Sanchez was in terms of getting starts as a big leaguer. Because Sanchez did pitch a very good season in 2016. I don't know if Pearson's going to be that guy. Maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but just from the way that Pearson's trending right now, I'm not sure if that's the case. But I'm okay with him being a bullpen guy and being a shutdown arm and pitching, 100 miles an hour out of the pen. I think that's good, especially because now we have, Ryu, Ray, Berrios, Manoa's been terrific, right? So it's okay if he's a bullpen guy. But what about you? What do you think? Do you think he can still be a starter?
Uh I think you're just worried from the experience with Sanchez. I
I
think
think this
he's
is
still
I don't
young.
know.
He's
Yeah,
he's
right.
still so young.
Well, he's
He
not
still has
that young.
plenty
Isn't he
of.
like 25 now, Pearson?
Well, that's still pretty young. He
Right,
still
right. Okay.
has a few years to get himself together here. And I mean, I don't know. In terms of injuries with Jay's pitching, I definitely mentioned it to you earlier in the season when I looked down their roster and like 75% of their pitchers were all on the injured list. And I was thinking, like, what's going on with this team? It seems like the last few seasons, all of their pitchers are always injured.
Yeah.
And that can't just be a coincidence. If it happens once, then maybe, but it's happened like 2 or 3 seasons in a row now. So I don't know. I don't know
Medical
what it
staff. I
is. I don't
don't
know
know.
what it is. I don't know if it's something to do with our training staff or
Yeah.
conditioning or pitching coach or what it is, but something needs to be addressed there because it's definitely concerning to see that many arms injured. And yeah, I don't know. You can do all you want to prepare in the off season for pitching depth, but when you have that many injuries,
That's true.
it can really take the wind out of it right away. But back to Pearson. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm still confident. I think he was just so highly touted. Um, he was a top what 5 prospect in all of baseball.
I think he was number one at
He was
one
number
point.
1 at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it takes quite a bit to get up to number 1. Not many of the guys that are in like number 1 or number 2 don't pan out. Um, so yeah, I mean
True.
injuries do happen and I hope he can get it sorted out. It's sometimes with bigger guys it can be a bit tougher to come back from injuries just when you have so much size and weight.
True.
Um, but yeah, I still have confidence. I think there's a lot less pressure now. I think kind of 1 or 2 seasons ago, you were looking at the Jays pitching, going like, "Well, he has to be the guy because we don't have anybody else." But
Yeah.
now you go through the list: Barrios, Ryu, Ray, Manoa, Mats, even like there's plenty of guys there that I think he's not. Pearson can kind of go in not carrying that much weight on his shoulders, knowing he needs to be the guy. He can just kind of
Hmm.
slide in and maybe be that 4th, 5th starter. If not this year, then next year, kind of start him in there and see how he does.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think they're still a couple seasons away from converting him to a reliever.
Yeah.
I think they still want to try it just because he does have like amazing stuff. You saw in the futures game at the All-Star game just how explosive his pitches were.
Right. But you got to
So I
remember
think
that's a while ago now. That's like
that yeah,
3-4 years ago.
yeah, that's true. But I mean I think yeah, I think they're still on his side. I think they still want him to be a starter in the
Right.
league, and I think it'll be a couple more seasons before they make a decision on whether or not he's going to start or come out of the
Okay.
pen.
Right. Do you think he's going to be on this team like by the end of the season? And do you think he'll be in the rotation or in the pen?
I think with the arms they have, I don't think they would throw him into the rotation.
Yeah.
But then you kind of get into that weird thing where you don't want to you want to keep him stretched out, but at the same time you want his arm
Right.
in your pitching
But
staff.
then you
So
compare that to Sanchez, and in 2015 he went into the pen and was great in the
yeah,
playoffs. And then
yeah,
you convert him into the start of the next season. I could see them
yeah.
doing something like that.
Well, yeah, that would be ideal if they feel comfortable that with that and he's healthy. I think that'd be great, kind of having just him as another weapon. I think when
Yeah,
when rosters get a bit bigger in September, I think he'll be called up.
for sure.
And I hope he sees like a few innings and kind of judge how he's doing. And then if we are lucky enough to get into the playoffs, then I hope they give him a shot. I mean, give him one shot, see how he does, and then just go from
Like
there.
as a starter, you mean? In the
No,
play?
no,
Oh
so
no,
no,
oh no,
not as
in
a
the
starter,
bullpen.
just
Also, I
innings,
see.
just
Right, right,
innings in
right.
the playoffs. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
As
could
as
see
a
that.
reliever, I hope they give him a shot this year, and yeah, who knows what can happen in the off season? Who knows how well he does in the bullpen? If he's lights out, they might have a tough decision on their hands whether or not they're gonna convert him back to a starter or they're gonna throw him into the bullpen and
Yeah,
for next season. Um, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of question marks. Not a lot of question marks, but with this team in general for next season, I think there's a potential to have a few pretty big holes. When you look at Semion's only signed to 1 year, Ray's only signed to 1 year. Those are both guys who've had amazing seasons and are going to get big, big raises.
yeah.
And can we afford it? I mean, I know
I mean,
Rogers
Rogers
can,
can.
but will Rogers
Yeah,
give the Jays enough money to make both of those signings, which could potentially both be $20 million a year plus
yeah.
players in
Oh my
Semyon
God,
and Ray.
for Ray. Yeah, I mean, I hope Ray doesn't want that much. Like, it's one season. Don't get ahead of yourselves, Robbie Ray.
Well,
Like,
he did
right?
have
He's
one good season in the past. It was a couple rough seasons in there, but I mean, I don't know. In this market, a starter like that comes up. I think he'll easily get 20 million plus on the open market. So the Jays
damn.
are gonna have to give him a
Yeah, he's having a
pretty
really good
enticing
season.
offer.
Yeah, yeah. I think priority would be. Ooh, it's actually tough. Like, who would you rather keep, Semien or Ray? I really like Marcus Semien. I think he's added a lot to this team. But then again, if you lose Ray, like your 4 or 5 is Mats and Stripling. It's like the
Yeah,
front three would
exactly.
still be good, but you don't have the depth anymore. I don't know. That's going to be a tough decision for management. I hope they bring them both back. I'm hoping they extend Simeon like ASAP, like work on that extension right now before he continues his unbelievable season. He's at like 31 doubles right now already, and
Yeah,
it's not even August 12th.
yeah,
It's crazy. He's having a great season. He's an all-star, and I think he wants to stay here too because I think he's enjoyed being at Rogers Center so far. The one thing that worried me about Semien maybe not coming back was the fact that they would be playing in the U.S. And he said like he hates playing at these minor league stadiums. But now that they're back in Toronto, hopefully that convinces him to come back in. I think the one thing that will entice these players to come back is if they make the playoffs, and you witness playoffs at the Rogers Center with hopefully more than 15,000 people in the stands, and
yeah.
winning a game in the playoffs in front of the fans, winning a series would be insane. So like, why wouldn't you want to come back to something like that? Especially because they're playing so well. Like, do you want to go somewhere else and jeopardize not playing as well as you did with Toronto? Like,
Yeah.
Semien's had a breakout year, mostly because maybe not mostly, but something to do with that is because of the lineup that he's playing in with amongst
Yeah.
so many great players in the position that he's in the lineup. And I'd like to say it's the same with Robbie Ray working with Pete Walker, and he's probably had a big influence on his
Hmm.
pitching style this year.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, with Semien, you look at where he came from in Oakland, one of the least hitter friendly ballparks in baseball,
yeah,
going to the Rogers Center and Yankee Stadium and Fenway,
even TD Ballpark.
which yeah, I mean those are all hitter friendly
Yeah,
places.
yeah,
And a bat like his, yeah, if he put up numbers like this 2 years ago in Oakland, so it makes sense that he's putting up numbers like this in the AL East playing in those ballparks that he
yeah,
gets to play in, and now Rogers Center for the rest of the year. I don't see why he would slow down at this point with the hitting and the power and the doubles. Yeah, I think the Jays can make an enticing offer. He does seem to really like it. He seems to be a guy that really gets involved in the community where he plays. I know he's kind of that player. So to me, players
yeah,
like that, it doesn't make sense for them to play 1 year in a place and then leave. I think he might want to set down roots and really kind of grow into the community. So yeah, hopefully he does decide to say hopefully they can re-sign Ray as well, but
yeah.
I don't know if that's possible. I think it's one or the other. And that
Damn.
also means we're not making a big addition in free agency. Um
Probably
yeah,
not. It would
it
just be
just
like the deadline next year,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, just minor moves and yeah, but I mean if they can re-sign Barrios and keep Semien or Ray, I think that's a pretty successful offseason. I don't think you can
yeah.
ask for too much more. Um
Well, I mean, there's all like even if you lose Robbie Ray, like you can make that up if you add 2 starters at half the price, something like that. Because like I think who was the big guy that the Jays missed out on last free agency? He was having like an insane year.
oh,
Is it Gosman?
Wheeler?
On oh, is it Wheeler? Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler
I think it's
on the
Gosman.
Phillies?
Oh yeah, okay. Phillies. Yeah, that rings a bell. It's probably Wheeler.
Yeah, he was kind of in the name like with Odorizzi and like
Yeah,
he was kind of rumored to go to the Jays.
yeah, exactly. So if you get someone like that for not like an insane price, yeah,
Wait, no,
is it
that
Zach
can't
Wheeler?
be
Oh, it's
Wheeler.
Gosman. No, it is Gosman on the Giants.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I don't think he
Giants
was
are
signed.
just doing
I
incredibly
don't
well this
understand.
year.
First team to 70 wins. I don't
It's crazy.
understand.
They came out of nowhere.
I don't know how. Like,
yeah, I think just great pitching. Cueto's been good. Gosman's been good. There's another guy too that they have who's just been playing quite
yeah,
well too.
Alex Wood, no, 4.03 ERA. Webb, the Scalfini, that's him.
Yes, that's
Yeah, this
it's
Desclafani, Anthony
yeah,
Desclafani,
Desclafani. Yeah, that's how you say it. Yeah.
31-year-old, another late bloomer. Yeah,
Yeah.
Giants are good. They got Chris Bryant at the trade deadline. I don't know. Like, are they gonna compete with the Dodgers in the NL? I still don't see any team stopping the Dodgers. It's gonna be
Yeah.
impossible to stop them. It's gonna be really
Yeah.
tough.
Well, we're talking about spending, and if the Jays can
Yeah,
afford both of them, and the Dodgers just go and get everybody.
get
Just
everybody.
who
Yeah,
cares about money? Just
yeah,
get everybody. Oh, Trey Turner and Scherzer, sure, why
yeah.
not?
You know,
Just throw 'em in.
for literally
Oh,
nothing too. They
oh, the
didn't.
best shortstop in the NL when we already have Corey Seager. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure, just get him. Why not?
like look at their rotations. Like Bauer's injured, or actually no, he's dealing with a scandal. But still,
Of
like
course.
you have Bauer, you have Clayton
Bauer,
Kershaw,
Bueller,
Bueller,
Kershaw, Scherzer,
Urias as well. Like,
Urias. Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're just lethal.
That's yeah.
It's
There's not
insane.
one break from those five guys. All five of them are.
They got to make up for choking in the World Series a couple years in a row, I guess. Well, one of them that you can't really blame them for, but yeah, they're trying to make up for that, I guess. They could win back to back for sure. They're going to be very tough to stop.
Yeah.
Except for the Jays. The Jays will stop them. World Series. Let's go back to the Jays because we kind of went a bit off track there. What are some? Actually, hold on. Where do I want to go here? You think they should have done more at the deadline? Like, you think they could have gone and gotten like a Craig Kimbrell or another bullpen piece, or do you think like what's missing from this team? You think? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to say what's missing from this team. Like, I think they made their moves before the deadline, like bringing in Simber and
Yeah,
Dickerson from the Marlins, and then bringing in Richards from
Trevor Richards.
Milwaukee.
Yep.
Those were two, like Simber and Richards have both looked quite good in the bullpen. I know Simber is kind of becoming a favorite in the clubhouse. They got like I've seen videos of them kind of copying his pre-pitching routine.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. I to me they did more than enough at the deadline, considering they're still not in a playoff spot. I think if they were in a solid playoff spot, you might be looking at them saying like, okay, maybe you should have went out and got a Scherzer instead of Berrios, or you could have added a bigger name in the bullpen. They also added Brad Hand too, now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think they added more than enough. They kind of maybe took the quantity over quality route for the bullpen, with the fact that they've added 4 bullpen arms throughout this season.
Yeah. I don't
of,
mind like the fact that they went out and got like Berrios over Scherzer. I think I prefer Berrios.
Well, yeah, no, in
he's
the position
too.
they're in,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
The fact that they're not in the playoff spot, then they still managed to go out and get a guy who's not just a rental, and he's a solid number 2, number 3 starter for them. I think that's all you can ask for. I don't think I would want them to go out and spend prospect capital on getting an old aging guy as a rental when you're not even guaranteed the playoffs. To
Exactly.
me, that doesn't mean anything, especially when we have years to compete. Like, our core is not. It's not like we have 2 years left. Like, we have.
It's not like we've signed.
While.
It's not like we've signed them to 11 million a year, or like in hockey terms.
Exactly.
30 million a year.
Yeah. we have some time. Like, our core is still quite young. We still have quite a few years to compete, so I don't think we need to go all in right now.
Yeah.
And I think Berrios is a good kind of a little bit more conservative move. And
exactly.
I don't think you can ask them to do much more. They brought in 4 bullpen arms throughout the season and added a number 2 starter, and you can never have enough pitching, and the bullpen has been the number 1 area of weakness for the Jays. I was thinking, I heard 28 of the Jays' losses have come from blown leads, which is second worst in the majors.
Yeah,
I think only in front of the Orioles, who are like bottom 5 in the league.
exactly.
So
Like win
yeah,
5 more of those games and you're
yeah,
in a playoff spot.
exactly. Good
Yeah.
teams, playoff teams don't blow that many leads.
Yeah.
You can't. You
And I
can't make the
think
playoffs blowing that many leads.
there's a lot of factors that go into it. It's a pretty new bullpen coming into the season. Jordan Romano, pretty new to the team. Merriweather, new faces. A young team as well. This team is still very young. The core is very young. And it's at the beginning of the season too. You're not playing at home. There's a lot of factors that went into it, but I think it's just going to make them stronger. And hopefully we don't see that many blown leads now moving forward. We almost saw a few in the homestand, but luckily they shut the door because their offense is just insane. Yeah, like their offense, there's no changes. There's no changes you need to make on
Yeah.
offense. I can be very picky with it, but I'm not going to. Like maybe you add a guy with super fast speed, for a pinch runner off the bench, but nah, like they're good. They're set offensively. Pitching rotation, I love it. It's a good pitching rotation. Like I said, you only really need 4 pitchers down the stretch, and they got 6. That's not even including Pearson, right? Like you could go with Pearson maybe as your 7th guy. The bullpen is good. I think they could have added maybe one more piece to solidify it, because I'm not confident in really anyone in that bullpen.
Not
To
even Romano. I think I'm sold on him. I don't know
really,
what more. I don't know what more he has to do. Like he's had a great year. Like yeah, I don't know, throwing 100 out of the pen. He's like the Canadian Aroldis
right?
Chapman. He
True.
yeah, like I think I'm confident in Romano. I
Okay.
think it was a tough spot for him. Like he didn't know, he had no expectations of being the closer when spring camp opened. They
Yeah.
signed Kirby Yates to be that, and he unfortunately went down with the elbow injury. And then there were questions. It was kind of Merriweather started the season, and then
Mm-hmm.
he went down. And they were thinking, oh, is it going to be Dolis? Like he's been the setup man, but then it ended up being Romano, and
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing to be thrown into that role when last season was kind of his only full MLB season of his career. He had kind of bounced around before that. So in kind of your second full season in the majors, you're thrown in to be the closer on a playoff hopeful team. That's a lot of pressure for a guy with not much experience. And I think he's done better than anyone could have hoped.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, I'm confident in him. He looks confident out there. Like he has this, he has a very serious look on his face whenever he's out there, which I kind of
Yeah.
like
He
in a
wants to
pitcher.
win.
He
He's
he looks
determined.
fiery,
Yeah.
determined.
It's his
Like you
hometown
can
team.
tell. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell he wants to win. He wants to win the game every time he's out there, and he's putting it all out there. And yeah, any guy that can come in and throw 100 miles per hour against guys who are in their third or fourth at bat is gonna
Yeah.
usually be
That's
pretty
true.
successful. It's a lot of speed that late in the game. So yeah, to me, Romano is that. Unfortunately, it took 2 injuries to get him to that position, but I'm quite happy he's there, and I think next season they aren't looking for a closer. I think he's their man. I don't see how you can, at this
Yeah.
point. I don't see how you take him out. I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
true. Yeah, exactly. It's not like priority to go out and get a closer because he's done a
yeah,
terrific job in there. Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on him, but he is the strongest guy in that bullpen for
yeah.
sure, and he's the guy I would have the most confidence in. But some of the other guys, like Brad Hands, had some shaky appearances. Dolis, I don't think can be trusted. Um, but I like, Trevor Richards has been okay. I like Simber. Simber's been good. I'm pretty confident in Simber as well. But it's not like 2015, I guess, with Osuna Sanchez.
Yeah.
It's not there yet.
You don't have the
Um,
lights out 1-2, which is
exactly, which is kind of what you need in the bullpen.
yeah,
Getting into the pitcher goes 6-7 innings, then you got 2 or 3 guys to close it out, and maybe
yeah,
you have a good combination in Simber, Romano, Merriweather if he comes back, or Pearson if he's there.
Yeah.
then I'll be pretty confident. And come September, like you said, with September call ups, like they could have a really good bullpen if those two guys are healthy and
Yeah.
throwing heat out of the bullpen. So
Yeah.
like that's your trade deadline acquisition. But as well, like trade deadline acquisitions, like we brought it up at the beginning of the show, like the Jays traded for their fans essentially.
Yeah.
Like what more can you ask for? Like they hadn't been playing in front of their hometown fans for over 650 days. Like they traded for their fans back. I think that's the biggest trade deadline acquisition any team could have made. Like they have fans
Yeah.
now. Like imagine that. Like you're an
Yeah.
organization, no fans. They're all the
Yeah.
other teams have fans. You just traded for fans. Like
Yeah.
that's the best. That's the best thing. Yeah. The Jays are up 1-0 in this game already. Springer hit a leadoff double and Vladdy just cashed him in. So that's a good start.
It's great
I
to see Springer. It's great to see Springer. Like, it was
want to talk about Springer.
the
Yeah.
worst start to your career with a new team that could possibly happen. And then when he did come back, he was just kind of like, he just didn't look in it. And I don't blame him. Like, you miss, how many games did he miss? 60 something more. You
Yeah, a
miss that
lot.
many
Yeah.
games, you can't necessarily expect to bounce right back and be in the swing of things. No pun intended, or I guess kind of pun intended. But
Yeah, he's
yeah, I
playing
mean,
terrific now.
like now he's the guy that we went out and made the big money signing for. Like
Yeah.
he's everything you could ask for. It's a guy like that with power, speed, on base capabilities as your leadoff is like amazing. That's in today's MLB, that's kind of the perfect leadoff
It's
hitter. Like
everything. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a better leadoff hitter in the majors right
Yeah.
now. Like this last
Oh, for
month,
sure.
he's
Definitely.
been the best. And on paper, I don't know who else you could consider better in the leadoff spot than Springer.
Well, what even is a leadoff hitter anymore? Because like I think, growing up, it was mostly speed, getting on base. The leadoff guy is one of the fastest guys on the team. He can get on base and he can steal a base. George Springer can do everything. He can steal, he can hit home runs, which is basically a guarantee every time he steps up to the plate now, especially in the leadoff spot. Um, and he can get on base. He can hit for average. He's got the pop, like we talked about. Like he's got the full package. Defensively, he's terrific as well in the outfield. He's got his legs back. Like if he stays healthy, like he's MVP caliber for sure. He's right up there with Vladdy. If he's playing a 162 game season, like yeah, this is the guy that we acquired. This is the guy that we signed, and he's the reason why we're in contention still. I don't know if we'd be in contention if it wasn't for Springer. He's been great. He's got to keep it up, and I think he will. Even though that Astros World Series, wasn't really legit, like he was still a part of it. He was still a part of a World Series team. He's gone to the Olympics, or not the Olympics, but the World Baseball Classic with the US, and he played great there. I think they won gold for that. So he's got a lot of experience. He loves it in the clubhouse. Like this team is very tight, and Simeon walks as well. 3 guys in a row reach base. Good start to this game, but yeah, that home run though, that home run against
Yeah.
Boston was just crazy, and his first real moment in front of the Rogers Center fans. And yeah, it's good to see him turning things around here and staying healthy. So let's hope he keeps it up.
Well, yeah, just even back to Springer and just the leadoff spot in general. Like
Yeah.
it seemed like back in the playoff runs of 2015 and 2016, there was always a struggle to find that leadoff hitter. They were always seemed to be experimenting. I'm right, aren't I?
Oh, you're
Like from
definitely
what I
right.
remember,
It's like Ben
like Ben
Revere,
Revere and just like
Devin
Pilar, I
Travis,
think
Pilar.
Travis,
Yeah.
like
They
they had
tried
to keep on
Tulo.
experimenting
Yeah.
for that leadoff hitter, and nobody really stuck. And with the heart of the lineup is what it was with Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion. You needed a guy that could get on pace in front of them, because one of those 3 guys is most likely going to hit a double or a home run.
Yeah.
And we just weren't able to find a guy to do that. But you look at this team that we have Springer followed up by Semyon, Bichette, Vladdy, and then Teoscar, which
And
is
then
like
Gritchick and Gurriel and like Dickerson. It's
yeah,
like it's lethal.
it's the deepest lineup the Jays have had like in my lifetime for
It's better
sure.
than 2015. Better than
Oh,
2015 or
100%.
2016. Yeah, it's so
100% on
deep.
paper it's a way better lineup than 2015, 2016, and I think
Yeah.
Springer is probably the most important part of that lineup. Like
Yeah.
Vladdy puts up the numbers, Bichette, Semyon, of course, they put up big numbers. Teoscar, it's great to see him finally becoming a
Thank God we
solid
didn't trade
MLB
him.
player.
I
Yeah,
remember
no,
like I was saying
exactly.
like, yo, this guy's the fourth outfielder. We don't need him. Get him
Yeah.
out of town.
Yeah,
Nope.
well, his defense is, I think, slowly improving. It's still a little bit shaky. Like, I don't know, late in the game in the playoffs if I would trust him out there in right field. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you just look at the names that we have, and they all put up big numbers, and they're all very important. But I think Springer just sets it apart just because of how great of an impact he has on the lineup, being that leadoff hitter that the Jays have kind of always needed, and
Yeah.
now he's there, and our offense is as good as it's ever been because of it.
He sets the tone at the top of the lineup for sure. And yeah, when he gets on base, like it's tough to stop the rest of the lineup at that
Yeah,
point. Like
yeah,
it's just one after the other. And the one thing that I keep hearing the commentators talk about, especially like late in the games when other teams get into their bullpens and they want to like intentionally walk people. Like if you intentionally walk Vladdy, you're facing Semyon. Like he's insane. And if you want to walk Semyon, it's Bichette.
yeah,
Like there's
yeah,
no break for these players. And even though if you get like later on in the lineup, like Grichuk, Gurriel back to back, like that's a tricky spot as well. The catchers, like Russell Martin was a great catcher in 2015, 2016, but Reese McGuire and Alejandro Kirk, I really like them. Like especially Reese McGuire, he's come out of nowhere this year. He's
yeah,
been terrific defensively, throwing out runners, and also with the bat. Not just home runs, but his average
yeah,
is very high right now. I think it
yeah,
might be even be over 300. He's
hmm,
doing good. Santiago Espinal on the bench.
yeah.
He's having a great year. The one guy we haven't really talked about like at all is Kevin Biggio. He's injured right now. Um, oh, I thought Bichette hit a home run, but he didn't. Um, but what do you think the plan is for Biggio? Especially when he comes back. Like, is this guy in the lineup? Or is he just on the bench? Because like Breivik Valera's been pretty good, and like it's a small sample size for Valera, and it's a small sample size for Espinal too. But Biggio has had a pretty not a very good season.
No, yeah. Um, I think they still give him a shot. I don't think Valera has like played that well that he deserves to stay in the lineup.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think Biggio will get a shot. It's just a matter of where though. Like even if he doesn't start, his versatility is just so important. Like
yeah,
he's that guy that can be plugged in like pretty much anywhere, like most positions and anywhere in the lineup, and could potentially do a job for you. Like he at the top of the lineup, he if even if he's not hitting for the highest average, he still finds ways to get on base.
yeah,
He walks, he gets hit by pitches. Like he's been the last couple years, he's been a guy that I've really liked. That's kind of been under the radar because he doesn't put up the biggest RBI totals, home runs, highest average, but he always has a high on base percentage, and that's kind of the most important. Once you get on base, and he was kind of at the top of the lineup. But there's another leadoff hitter. He's obviously nowhere near the same league as Springer is,
yeah,
but in front of guys in front of the middle of the lineup we have, you just get on base. That's all you need to do. Springer goes above and beyond, and that's great. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, all you need to do is get on.
yeah,
And I think that sort of versatility and ability to get on base I think it could play really well for him at the bottom of the lineup. Kind of you put him in the number 8, number 9 to roll that lineup over
Yeah.
in those innings where you're starting with the eighth hitter and you hope to get your big guys in at bat. I think he'd be great. There's very little pressure down there. Pitchers have just gone through the gauntlet of the rest of the lineup, so they might be a bit tired and they
Yeah.
might be more prone to walks or whatever.
He'll get strikes, I think. Cuz if
You
he's
think,
in
yeah.
8 or
Yeah, they'll
9,
want to pitch. They'll want to pitch to
yeah.
him to try to get him out. Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but yeah, even better. Like he's always been a guy that can find a way to get on base, and I think if you put him in the bottom of the lineup without the pressure of leading off or being at the top of the lineup, I think he could do well, and I think he still deserves a shot in the lineup, and I think they will give him that shot to kind of play third base pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I hope he can come back from the injury and turn his season around a little bit. And yeah, I think playing eighth, ninth in the lineup would be perfect for him at this point, and just kind of plug him in there and see how
Yeah.
it goes for a little bit. And if he's not playing well, then you have Espinal, you have Valera to plug in there if need be. But yeah, I think Biggio has, when he's back healthy, he still has his spot in the lineup as he should.
Do you know who hit the last Blue Jays home run at the Rogers Center before they came back this year? You won't be able to guess it.
Just some random guy.
Breivik Valera.
Breivik Valera. I was thinking that name was in my head. I'm like, oh, we've been talking about him. Maybe it's him.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even realize he was on the team back then. I thought he was just a new guy this year.
Well, he's been always been. I think the last 3 seasons, they've for some reason management. He's just one of those guys that Atkins and Shapiro just randomly like for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
He's been that guy. I think he's been around for the last 3 years or so. And I think
I
he's like,
don't even
I
know
think
him.
he's
Yeah.
left and then came back and maybe left again and came. I don't know. It's a weird kind of road that it's been, but
I thought for sure that first name Breivik would stick in my head,
yeah,
but I just didn't know him until like this season, like
yeah,
till like a month ago or 2 months ago whenever he got called up. But I mean, he's been all right so far, and he hasn't played that many games, but batting over 300, he gets a lot of singles. I'll take that. Um, but yeah, I think going back to the Biggio thing, like he's another good weapon for the bottom of the lineup. If he's on his game and he's hitting like 240, like if he gets that average up to 240, I think it's at like 220 now, maybe a bit
yeah,
less. If he gets it up to there, continues to have that OBP that's pretty high, like their lineup is set 1 through 9.
yeah,
Like it's scary 1 through 9.
yeah,
Um, and then Espinal off the bench if you want some help defensively, or a pinch runner in Espinal as well, like Valera with the bat, like they got a lot of options there.
yeah,
So yeah, like Biggio isn't like a bench player. Like he's still very young.
yeah.
He's going to be a big part of this core. He can turn things around for sure. He's just having an off year.
Hmm.
And yeah, he's still young. He's got some
Yeah,
promise still. His dad, big leaguer. He's got that big league experience. Like he'll be fine.
yeah.
We're coming close to the end for sure. I think the money question is, will this team make the postseason? And they have one of the easiest schedules in baseball to end the year off. They don't have to play Boston anymore. They do have to play Tampa, the Yankees, obviously, and Oakland. But sometimes it's good to play those teams that are a bit ahead of you in the standings because it's the easiest way to make up ground. As
Yeah.
we saw with the Red Sox, taking 3 out of 4 there, you gain 2 games on them. Um, what do you think is going to happen to end this season? You think they? I just want to hear what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? I won't even give you any options.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a tough call. Like they go on the run and they take 9 of 11 at home and they look amazing, and then they come out against the Angels without Trout, without Rendon, who Madden has said we're going to be playing our young guys to see what we have, and they lose
Yeah.
6-3, and it's like Like how?
Right. I
How
guess, yeah, you can't win every game, I
like you
guess,
can't
but
win every game, but at the
you got to
same
win the
time,
series. 3 out of
yeah,
4. You got to win the next 3. Yeah.
now you have to take the series. You can't be dropping series against teams that are below you in the
For
standings
sure.
at this point.
100%. Yep.
And but then again, you can't be dropping series against anybody at this point.
No.
Like the
Every
Oakland
game's a must
series is
win.
going to be huge.
Oh
The
yeah.
games against the Yankees are going to be huge. Um, I think it's hard to say until those games against the Yankees happen and against Oakland happen, because that's what's going to make or break the season at this point.
Yep.
Is those games. If they can win the series and make up ground, then I think their chances look pretty good. They, like you said, their biggest acquisition at the deadline was getting their fans back, and that, yeah, it's that can't be understated how important it is. And even without fans, just to be on your home turf playing in the stadium that you've always played at, just that
Yeah.
comfort level goes up.
Yep.
Um, so I think at this point everything is flowing the Jays way. You get back home with fans. Springer is back and better than ever. You
Yep.
make a
They're
good
trending. Yep.
you make a
Yep.
good trade deadline acquisition in Berrios. Vladdy and Bichette are still playing well. Semyon is still playing well.
Thank
Like,
God Bichette's okay after
yeah,
those shin contusions. Let's hope that's
yeah.
nothing.
Everything is going in the Jays' direction. So I think they're trending right now towards the playoffs, but I don't think we should get ahead of ourselves. And I think I texted you at one point. I was watching the game and or the highlights or something, and just seeing them dancing around, celebrating like mid game. It's like, okay, guys, like that's great. I love the energy. It's nice to have fun, but at the same time, like we're fourth in the division right now. Like
Yeah.
it'd be nice to see maybe a little bit more. Maybe that's just who they are. They're a young team. They're able to
Mm-hmm.
maintain their focus by doing that. But I think from a fan's perspective, a lot of fans would look at that as kind of a lack of focus,
For sure.
and might be saying, okay, can we kind of like buckle down,
Right.
and
It makes you think, like, is this team like act like, do they want
are
to
they
win?
serious? Yeah.
Are they serious about
Yeah.
winning? Because like they don't have a Josh Donaldson or Russell Martin or a Bautista to kind of say like, hey, let's stay on,
Yeah.
let's be
Their
focused here.
veteran leadership is Springer, who came from a team that cheated to win the World Series. So
Yeah.
it's like it's
That's
tough to
true.
look at this team and find really leadership anywhere. You have Ryu, love him, but the guy doesn't speak English. So I don't know how much leading he can really
Well,
do.
who
I
does
guess,
speak English on this team?
yeah, I mean, I guess maybe his interpreter is kind of like giving the pep talks
Even Charlie
for the team.
Montoya, like
Well,
does
yeah,
he
it's
speak good
yeah,
English?
it's it's just you kind of look at this team, and maybe that's the one thing they're really lacking, that like that veteran guy who's been there, done it,
Yeah, I
and knows
mean,
what to do.
like I look at Semien, like even though he doesn't have that playoff experience, he's never like won anything. Like he's still a veteran guy who is very serious. Like you don't see him having a lot of fun in the
Yeah,
dugouts. Like he's good. I trust Springer. I think they like he's a good leader for their team. Um, I think even Bo Bichette. I think even though he's young, I see him. He gets really upset at himself if he messes up or strikes out. He's very serious, obviously, and he's determined. He like you probably read his like Players Tribune about like coming back to Toronto. I don't know if you saw that, but he wrote a
no,
pretty nice piece about like coming back to Rogers Center, and he talked about like the 2015 Jays and like what that meant to him seeing that. So he's very dedicated to this team. He wants to win. Um, and yeah, I see what you mean though. Like they have a lot of fun, but it's let's just hope it pays off. And I feel like some guys might might just be in it for the fun. Like maybe like a Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Maybe I could see him. He's near the bottom of the lineup. He celebrates a lot. But I'm sure like the core guys like at the top of the lineup are really focused and want to win. And you really only need two guys to really lead by example and be those leaders in the clubhouse, and then hopefully the rest follows. And if you have Springer and Semi and leading it, and Bichette, I guess, leading it too, then it's good. Um, yeah, I trust them. I trust them. I know was like 2014, probably 2014 or 2013 when they had Colby Rasmus and like Danny Valencia. I
Yeah.
know Bautista kind of called them out, like saying some guys weren't taking it seriously and they got out of town. Like if that's the same case with this team, maybe management catches on and Montoyo catches on and maybe those guys are gone next year if that is the case, right? If they do see some flaws in the team and they think they can add to their leadership group, then maybe you see, like I'm just saying, like Gurriel as an example, because maybe he's someone like that,
Yeah.
but he might be gone, you know? So,
Yeah. Well, yeah,
but
I
it's
I
working.
feel better about this group than 2015, 2016. Like not necessarily making the playoffs this year, but
Yeah.
just long
The
term. Like
longevity of it.
you
Yep.
look at the lineup, you look at what our leadoff position is, you look at our stability at shortstop, which we hadn't really had
No.
up until Bichette. You look at Vladdy, who like obviously Bautista Donaldson for that 2 seasons was kind of the best hitter in baseball or close to it. So you kind of have Vladdy filling the Donaldson role. Um, Obviously you're going to draw people are going to draw a lot of comparisons between this team and 2015 2016, but I think we both agree, we both said it earlier, this team is just a lot more complete. And I just feel a lot better. Even if it's not this season, I think management obviously thinks that they can and should compete this year.
Yeah.
Um,
You can't
that
waste
also
this year. Yeah. Like
yeah,
that's
that
why
that
they went
also
out and got
might play
Berrios.
into the attitude of the players. Like I don't know if I mean obviously they all want to win every season, but I don't know if they have the mindset of, oh well, like we're still so young, like this is just another season of us growing,
Yeah.
or if I'm sure they have the mindset of we can make it this year and win. I hope they do. But yeah,
Yeah.
management obviously has that mindset, and I think the fans do too. I think this is different than 2015 2016 because there's a lot less pressure. People knew that Bautista was slowing down, Encarnacion, like his contract was coming up, he was getting older, there was a possibility he was going to leave. Tulo was old, Price was older and most likely
Right.
just a rental. um
The
so I
window
think
was
there's a
very
lot
small.
more. Yeah, the window was very small back then, but now our it feels like our window is like 10 years. And
Yeah.
I think that's a great position for everybody to be in. There the fans are, if it's not this year, it's next year, and if it's not next year, it's the year after. I think the fans still have a lot of patience. I think the players recognize that they're all still young and everything's a growing opportunity.
Right. At
But
the
I
same
think
time, you don't want to waste any opportunity,
Of
right?
course, and
So
and
like,
management did that by making.
right,
They didn't have to bring
exactly.
in Barrios, but they did, and they obviously think this team can and should compete, and
Yeah.
that's good to see. And you shouldn't waste any opportunity you have to make the playoffs. It shouldn't be wasted.
Especially because of the money too. Like you have Vladdy on his first contract, Bo on his
Yeah,
first contract, Cavan on his first
yeah,
contract. You don't want to be paying those guys so much more money and then not having to, not having any depth
yeah,
in like 6 years from now or 5 years from now, whenever their contracts are up.
yeah,
So you don't want to waste any opportunity. And I think in the next like 1 to 3 years, like we might see a World Series here. Like it's time. It's time to get this thing done. And I think the fans obviously really want it, but I think the players want it this year. Like you're saying, like they're not going to waste a chance. They know they can do it. Only 3 games back of the wild card. Like, and if you win that, like you're in the playoffs. You're good.
yeah,
So I don't know. It's gonna be exciting. Yeah, it's weird not having like a Jays playoff discussion um without talking about like Bautista, Donaldson, and Encarnacion. Like now it's the new guys. It's like
yeah,
Vladdy, Bo. It's gonna be interesting to see how they handle it. I guess technically like they made the playoffs last year, so they have some experience. Like
yeah,
even though it was only like a 3 game series and they got swept in it. That's some experience, and it's a very different team now. You got Springer now, you got Semien now. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting stretch. It's going to be fun. We got to go to a game whenever you come back.
yeah,
You come back this month
yeah.
sometime?
The 25th, I come back.
25th. Okay. So we'll see if there's some tickets and we can go for sure. Because it's good environment. It's good to see fans back. It's exciting. It's exciting to talk about Jays again. Getting hyped up about them. It's fun watching the Jays too. I wasn't watching them much when they were playing their home games in the States, but now that they're back home, I'm invested. I'm full into this. And let's go Blue Jays. So that does it for the show. Tyler, thank you very much for coming on. Anything else you wanted to say or cover?
No, just thank you for having me on, and hopefully we get out to a game, and go Jays go all the way to the World Series.
Let's do it. If it's not this year, then sometime soon. But let's hope it's this year. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Gonna be hopefully doing some more episodes soon before the school year comes around because it's right around the corner. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to us talk about the Jays, and we will see you with a new episode very soon. See you guys later. Take care and peace.